There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 5 of the Supercheap Auto V8 series, coming to you from, actually it's round 6, apologies, coming to you from the one and only Daytona Speedway in beautiful Florida in the United States of America. This track is synonymous for the Daytona 500, the Daytona 24-hour race. And tonight we are operating on the Daytona 24 circuit, which starts, of course, at the beautiful tri-oval of the main oval circuit, where we then come through the tight, tricky turn 1, high-speed corner, decelerating the car as much as possible to get ourselves through. And then we come through turn 2 and then into what is known as the International Horseshoe, then down through the fast kink at 4, where we've got to pull the car up again to come through the right-hander at 5, and then we loop across at 6, back onto the main oval. The track there is bumpy, the track there is rough, so very hard to keep good car control through that section of the circuit. And then we roll through turn 1 and turn 2 of the oval and down the back straightaway, where we go through the bus stop. Got to pull the car up, get it through the bus stop, get it accelerated and going again, where we'll go through turns 3 and 4, otherwise known as turn 12, on the banked oval, and then back down through the tri-oval again. Interesting circuit. It's only about a 1:42 lap time, but it is definitely going to be tricky for some of these guys. The other thing, moving along, we also have some points to have a look at. As you can see, the overall point score is what's going on with my spreadsheet. That hasn't updated. Apologies. We'll leave that one alone. So, of course, if you're out there watching, jump in the chat, say good day, let us know how you're going, and we'll definitely try and get and I follow the cars that you've been following. And definitely looking forward to this evening. Should be a great race. We have a smallish field, but we still have some very, very good quality drivers in that field tonight as well. So keep an eye out for your faves. They will definitely be on circuit, as I'm going to loop back and finish off started, as these guys are about to head out for their quali lap, and we will get ourselves definitely up and running. And while these guys roll out for quali, we might quickly have a look at the points. And of course, these points are calculated after one drop round, so there is 2 drops in the series. And leading it quite handsomely, of course, is James Scott, with Jordan Ross sitting in second, 3 points ahead of Dave Coleman, then Joe Marnie, Justin Wallace, Troy Stonestreet, Tonkin, O'Reilly, Visma, and John Stone round out the top 10. And then if we have a look at the pro drivers with 1 drop, we take out a few names, shuffle a few things around. Of course, as it happens with the splitting into classes, we have Scott, John Stone, Rattray White, Jordan Ross, Michael Angus, Jacob O'Reilly, Anthony Visma. Of course, this includes all things such as points, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Super 2 boys. Joe Marnie's leading that by 3 points from Stone Street, who's 3 points ahead of Coleman. So that battle is well and truly alight. Steve Tonkin not too far behind on 693. Then Schultz, Lofthouse, Thomas, Greathead, Barella, and Andrew Hoffman round that out. And the vets, of course, is Stone Street, comfortably leading from Thomas, Hoffman, McNamara, and Caparonis. But these boys cranking it up now to start setting that first time. As you can see, the banked angle circuit definitely has a lot to play for. And we'll jump on board with somebody very, very shortly, as we might pick up, of course, the one and only Zach Rattray White. This boy here, he has been setting some cracking times already and quite well known for leading a series or two. And he's going to jump on board on the nose of him for his lap. And we might even throw up the dashboard so you can see how much you got to pull that car back to 100 Ks through turn 1. On the gas through 2 and 3. And then we start to pull it up again through the International Horseshoe. Accelerate away, one of the slowest corners on the circuit. And you can see even in this infield, you're still getting the car above 200 Ks coming through the kink. Just a light lift. 220, pull it back up again. Find the apex. And roll the car out. Not too bad for Zach. Hard on the gas. Going down now into the final infield circuit. And you can see the change in pavement. And then we roll through the bump onto the banking now. And this is where you've got to have a good car setup. And also try and have the toe of the guy in front of you. I think Zach is a little bit far back here. So then line up for the bus stop. About the 200 board. Ride the curb, don't take too much, there's time to be lost, but nicely gets it across, gets it back onto the circuit. Trying to keep the car just above the yellow line. Go a little bit lower than that, the car will get unsettled. As Rattray White comes into the tri-oval. What time does he set? 306 Ks max speed through this part. As we said, pulling it back up. Rattray White goes to the top with a 143.020. Great lap from him. Just to have a little bit of look, James Scott. He's coming through now onto the tri-oval. In the final corner. And a tough circuit to race at, this one with the Vets lads. Of course, here on the one and only Thursday nights. And James Scott comes across. Looks like he may have had an off track as the time doesn't tick over. So Anthony Visma in second. That's a great result for him on that first round. And John Stone in third, Hobson in fourth, Jordan Ross in fifth. Brian Borg on the circuit at the moment as well. These lads will be working their way back to the pit lane at the moment, I think. They're ready to come out and do it again. If they're quick enough, they'll get another 2. As we can see, everyone ducking into the lane. Very, very busy pit lane here at Daytona. Very tricky to get into as well, of course, coming in at nearly 300 Ks. Got to pull the car up. As James Scott went again, he comes across the line. No, it doesn't. There he comes now. James Scott comes across and sets himself up. I think that'll be a cracking time. He moves to the top of the pecking order with a 142.684. Great lap there from James. So he's on his way back in as we start to see a few more of these lads heading out now. But definitely a benchmark time set of about 3/10 ahead of everybody else from James Scott. So keep an eye on you guys now. Visma heading out. As I said, you really want to be trying to working with the group here, trying to get that toe. Visma a little bit behind the lads up the road in front of him. But looking forward to seeing what the Viz can do. As the boys up in front are already playing ducks and drakes. Allowed Visma to get onto the train very quickly. One of the Vermeulen cars there tucking in front of Anthony. Definitely got himself on the back of the train here. So let's see what Visma can do. There'll be a bit more ducks and drakes before we get out of the bus stop here. And definitely looking forward to being joined by Mark Duggan. He's on his way. We've got Mark coming to join us. Of course, you look at these ducks and drakes in front. These lads are definitely playing for keeps. Get that spot to go. Right off the track. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been Tom Frere, I think. Tom playing the smart game. Keep an eye here. So Frere definitely in this grouping. We might ride with him. Tom's known for putting in a good lap. Sitting in 10th at the moment. Using the banking to his advantage, staying high before he gets started. Drop it down low and away we go. Full noise. 300 Ks. Pull it up, back to 90 Ks. Needs Borgie in front. Let's had a good time here. Bit of a lock up by Borg. A little bit loose as well, trying to get that power down. That's Borg out of the lap. So that will mean Frere will probably lose that toe, so we might go a little bit further up the train. Behind Jordan Ross. He's the next man. He's set 3 green sectors already. What can Ross the boss do? Has Hobson up the road. So coming up to the bus stop, look for the 200 board. On the brakes, nice, hard and heavy. Get it in, nice and smooth. Using all the apex. Gets it out, power down. Nice and low. You can see the draft starting to work now. Here comes Ross. Here he comes up to the back of Hobson. Absolutely flying through that last sector. And Ross moves himself into P2. Great work, Mr. Hobson. We'll be asking for a pay rise. As the leaderboard now, Scott, Ross, Frere. Tom sitting in 3rd. Zach Rattray White holding on to 4th. Anthony Visma 5th. Hobson 6th. Johnston 7th. Borgie in 8th. Thomas in 9th. Josh Horton 10 Tonkin, 11, 12 is Coleman, 13 is Reg James. So still haven't got a time out of Thomas Freeman and still haven't got a time out of Joe Marnie. So plenty to do. Caught. Here comes Freeman, sorry. He's just crossed. He's got himself on the board. Still sitting in 14th. He would have been looking for a little bit more time there. As Joe Marnie, I think, is about to start a lap. And Mark Duggan, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good, John. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Had some people over for dinner, but good to be here. Great track. Plenty of drafting, obviously, around here. And, yeah, I think we've often seen some really interesting last lap battles around here. So it should be a good race.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how these guys go. Just having a bit of a look here at Joe Marnie. Hasn't set a time yet. Jordan Ross is on his in-lap. Everyone else is on their in-lap. So James Scott setting a cracking time, but Jordan Ross getting to within 100th of that time. So, but we do know Ross had a tow. So Marnie from Brisbane having an absolute cracking drive. Up north where it's nice and warm.
Definitely feels like it's snowing everywhere at the moment.
Not wrong. Got a few people in orange at the moment, and it was a day of basically snow showers going through. And Joe Marnie about to come across the line to set his best time. And car is cracking. He crosses the line now. That puts Marnie in P13. Thought he might have crapped up the order a bit more there. That's everyone now with a time on the board. For everyone, you boys, out on their outlaps. So we'll have a look again. These lads here will be playing ducks and drakes again. All trying to line up in a row. This time it's all the Synergy boys with Borgie hanging down the back. And here comes another Synergy car. And interestingly, it looks like Hobson back out front again. As they'll head off as a group. Keep an eye on these guys. A surprised Hobbo, the leader again, Mark. Thought it might have been his turn.
Yeah, clearly they feel Hobbo is the man to lead the team around. You know how experienced Hobbo is, and he always does a great job here at the East Coast.
The ultimate domestique of the team. As Retro White on a good lap as well. At the moment, he's at 2 green sectors. The first 3 sectors. So he comes back out onto the banking.
Checkered flag is now out, John.
Yep, it has gone out now. These boys now in overtime. See what Retro White can do here. James Scott setting purple sectors behind him, though. Through the bus stop. A little overcooked coming out, though. And Scott doing a orange sector after his first 2 pink ones. And let's see what Retro White can do here. Can he finish it strong? No, he stays in P4. Usually once you lose that momentum, coming out onto the circuit again, you're in a bit of trouble. There's James Scott now, comes out of the bus stop. And I'd say this won't be a quicker time for him. James straight back into the lane. Josh Horton. Now up high on the banking. He's back in the lane as well. I think we're just about all done and dusted.
Yeah, looking like everybody's bailed on that last lap.
It's Borgie. He's going to bail as well. Shows how hard it is to pull it up into the lane. Nice little bit of work there, Brian. Let's parked it up on the track. Retro White having some fun. As we just wait for the clock to wind down here. He's going to park it up. Joe Marnie cruising back to the pit lane as well. And let's have a look at our grid before we get going here at the one and only circuit of Daytona. As we start off with James Scott from Speed Cafe Lobs Esports on pole position with a 142.462. Lining up alongside him is Jordan Ross from Synergy Sim Racing. And on the second row, we have Synergy Sim Racing's Tom Freer lining up alongside Zach Rattray White from Vermeulen Motorsports. On the third row is Anthony Visma from Accelerate Sim Sports, lining up alongside Brenton Hobson from Synergy Sim Racing. On the fourth row, we have Damien Johnstone and Josh Horton from Vermeulen Motorsports. On the fifth row, we have Brian Borg lining up alongside JWM Sim Sports, Jeff Thomas. And then on the sixth row is his teammate, Steve Tonkin from JWM Sim Sports, lining up alongside the privateer, Thomas Freeman. And then over the page, we have Joe Marnie from BE Electrical Race on Oz and Dave Coleman on the seventh row from Fishy Motorsports. Reg James from WK&P is 15th. Our safety car driver tonight is Matt McMillan, and Richard Barella is our race controller. I think it's been an interesting one, Mark. A few things to talk about leading into the grid, of course, is the possibility of the bank angle of the circuit. The guys have got to be very careful that the bottom of the car doesn't get wheel spin. Wheel spin, the car will want to turn the nose out to the wall. Can create some interesting aspects of a bad start, and have also seen cars that have gone 90 degrees and blocked traffic. The other talking point, Mark, going into the start, of course, is going to be turn one. We know what that's like with a crowd. Smaller field tonight, we might be okay, but it can be very, very tricky in a large grouping to get right. So definitely one to watch on Thursday night. But I think these guys are all pretty experienced enough and will be very good at getting themselves off the line here and getting through turn one.
Yeah, I mean, we have, like you said, we have seen cars go right angles in both directions on the start line here. And yeah, the closing speed into turn one is quite big. So yeah, when you're coming from the rear of the pack, you really have to watch your closing speed because it comes up on you very quickly. We're about to jump.
Not long to go now. I'll find a slightly better camera angle. Probably not that one. Go back to this one. Hey, not long. Cars, get the lights coming up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights are out. We're away. Bit of a slow start from Ross. That's going to open up the door a little bit. Gonna jump to a better camera real quick. As we come down into turn one, roll. Tom Freer having a look up the inside of Scott. He's got that move done pretty quick. That was interesting.
Rattray White as well, John. Rattray White got a great jump.
Hey, Ross has been shuffled all the way back.
It looks like Borg's off at turn 2, is it?
Yeah, Horton involved in an incident there as well. You can see him in the background facing 90 degrees. As we'll just stay on this for a minute. Of course, 41 laps, 2 compulsory pit stops. Might pay if you're James Scott just to park it up here for a little bit. That already shows his nose. Look to the outside. Looks to the
we
inside.
know James is very comfortable leading out front because he does have the ability to break away from.
Oh, he touched. That was a little bit of a touch there. That was close. We're almost out of control. And he's in the wall. I think there's a bit of an incident there. Not sure what's happened. That one's going to take a replay to clean up.
Yeah, Freer, Scott. I'm not sure who the other car was involved there, but I think both big damage. A little bit of silly buggers there wasn't really necessary.
No, long way to go. It's still Money. There's still someone else involved in that. We've still got one car stopped. Tom Freer's got it going though. So we won't get a safety car out of that. And James Scott is back in 13th. Jordan Ross is our race leader. Jeff Thomas, the big winner, the Super 2 driver, battling for the lead with Jordan Ross and Damien Johnstone. Nicely holding his own. Go, Jeff.
James Scott with a meatball flag.
And Damien Johnstones comes through now. Here comes Rattray White. We will try and go back and have a look at what happened.
James Scott missed his pit box as well, so not the usual opening stanza for Scott in this one.
No, definitely not. Just going to have a quick look at Borg. We said Borg went off. Not sure what happened. This is into the International Horseshoe. This is on lap 1, so Borg's just well and truly off there. And just going to have a look at Hobson. That was Hobson going backwards. So what happened before that. Just going to go James Scott. We'll pick it up back here. I know there's a race on, but there was contact there. A few guys loose. Contact into Hobson. So Hobson copped a fair whack with that as well. And of course, definitely all happening further back in that one with Freer stuck on the wall. We'll go back to live picks.
Oh yeah, we had Hobson and James Scott there with meatball flags, so they've both pitted, used their fast repair to get the car back to race condition, and yeah, they're going to have to be pretty careful for the rest of the race now.
Interestingly, Jordan Ross and Damien Johnstone both set an identical fastest time of a 1:44.272. Then Tom Freer, who I'm on board with at the moment, just went faster with a 1:43.8. So these guys starting to settle into their race now. Looks like Tom Freer might be out of the car.
Yeah, Tom's in the lane, unfortunately, and he's not going anywhere, so that's not what we want to see on lap 2.
No. One of our faster drivers. The Rattray White here, he'd be trying to look for a way, get himself past Jeff Thomas. And Jeff, of course, one of our V8's drivers as well. So great to see him doing well, sitting third in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff's a quality driver, and you know, he's done plenty of racing around here, like most of the boys. I'm not sure about Zach. He hasn't been racing the V8s that long, I don't think. But as long as Jeff can stay in contact with these boys out front, no harm for Zach to just sit there and save as much fuel as he can, because if he can shorten the length of his pit stop. Looks like Johnson may have got a slow down possibly. He's had to go up high.
Yeah, that hurts coming out of the bus stop.
Absolutely, all that momentum you need to carry down this main straight.
And that's allowed Visma to come through as well. You can see this hairy ride into turn one. Brake lock up, guys going a little wide. Thomas gets back in front of Rattray White though.
For me, if I'm Jeff Thomas, I'm letting Zach go, and I'm tucking him behind him and letting him drag me back up to Jordan Ross.
Yep.
We know Zach's a quality driver, and he's got plenty of speed. Jeff's on good speed at the moment, but if you're pushing 110% all the time, you're bound to make a mistake.
Definitely a track where you got to drive smarter, not harder. Definitely not much in it for these boys. He's allowed Ross to get out to a 1.4 second break, so he's got a gap on Thomas here now. So Thomas, we're starting to lose that drafting effect. Big shout out to Josh Barella in the chat as well. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. And thinking about making a move, goes to the high side. Tucks back in behind. Coming into the tri-oval. Looks like he's going to get the job done. It's got to hang up there as well.
Touching on 306 kilometres an hour there, coming down that straight.
And definitely gets through. They're showing plenty of speed. They already pulled it out to 7/10 from Thomas already. So keep an eye on that. Damien Johnstone a bit further back, looking a bit racy on Visma.
Johnson gets the job done.
Nicely done. Borgie in the background. He's starting to work his way back through after that lap one incident, as he's tucked right up behind Borgie here. Marnie, in the background, trying to hang on to this group as well. Smart play by Coleman here. I think he's letting Borg through. The boys starting to settle in now. James Scott's the one to watch. His last lap was the fastest lap with a 1:43.66. Of course.
Yeah, James got plenty of pace in the car, but he is a long, long way behind at the moment. He's probably really going to need a safety car, but be interesting to see how much he challenges himself coming back from last position tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's keeping an eye on the gap there. He's still got about 6 seconds to get to Hobson up the road. If he can catch up to Hobson, they might be able to work together. And then they're only 20 seconds behind the next group of cars. And of course, that will classify as their first compulsory pit stop.
Steve Tonkin doing a good job here as well. Currently P10 and hanging on to this group that's just in front of him with looks like Joe Mahoney, Dave Coleman, Brian Borg, and just up the road from Brian Borg is Thomas Freeman.
That's Steve doing really well.
Did see Dave Coleman let Brian Borg through. Brian's got plenty of experience, and Dave is a pretty smart racer, and Dave is just tucked up behind Borg now and just letting Borg do the hard work and try and get back on terms with Thomas Freeman.
Jump on board here into turn one with Thomas. Under a lot of pressure from Johnstone and Visma now. This is a battle.
Coleman with the big pinch brake there into turn one. Sorry, John.
You're right. Gonna say this is the battle for the last spot on the podium between these three.
Yeah, certainly a long way to go before that podium's decided, but yeah, Damien Johnson, we saw him get that slowdown earlier and lost contact with Jordan Ross and lost 3 or 4 positions in 300 or 400 metres. So he's working really hard to get past Jeff Thomas now. As you can see, Jordan Ross and Rattray White starting to head off into the distance.
And having a look here, Johnstone going to get up the inside going into the bus stop. Nicely gets it done. And a little bit further back, Borg has Coleman back in front of him. This little group here with Tonkin doing exceptionally well.
Now we've got Visma having a go at Jeff Thomas and thinking about getting past Johnson all in one go. What a great draft there from Visma. And he hold it under brakes. I know Damien's going to go deep here.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Side by side into turn one. Great driving from the pair of them. Thomas going to keep his nose in there too.
Damien Johnson done a fantastic job there to pull the car up, not even locking the brake. Super deep there and was able to maintain position to hold on to third. And we know how aggressive Anthony Visma can be. He likes to have a go no matter what, and I expect him to probably have another lunge once we get on that backside of the circuit on them big straights.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do. Has come across the infield. See how bumpy it is coming onto the circuit. Now we tuck in. Let's see what Thomas can do as well. Can Jeff hang on here? Of course, he's 4 seconds up the road from Freeman. So needs to make the most of this, hanging onto the toe.
Jordan Ross doing a stellar job out front. He's just inching away from Zach Rattray White at the moment. Rattray White's last lap was a 1:44.309.
Here we go.
Jordan Ross was in the 43s. So Jordan's clearly got plenty of pace in that car.
And looks like Johnston got a slowdown again. Handing the P3 spot to Visma.
Yeah, them slowdowns will absolutely cruel your night.
Yep. And Tonkin a little bit deep in the background there. But Marnie gets himself through on Borg. Can he hang on to it into the International Horseshoe? Borg on the inside. Great little battle with this group. And Coleman. Horton hanging onto the back of it. Sorry, 4 seconds off the back. Tonkin still hanging onto the back. Scott's
Yeah, we saw. Sorry, John. We saw Horton facing the wrong way there on lap 1, and he's just trying to work his way back to this group just in front of him. He's not that far off them at the moment, so if they keep battling amongst each other up front, it won't be long and we'll see Horton cling onto the back of them.
Here we go. This is the Borg group coming into the bus stop. Borgie misses it. Has to take the escape route. That's going to be costly for him. And Marnie now has Coleman on the outside. And you can see this is playing into Tonkin. Tonkin getting the great draft here on Marnie. And Coleman hang tough outside. Switches to Coleman. Into turn 1 again. Coleman holds off. Borg into the lane.
Big loss for Borgie. He just lost so much time there, and looks like he's come in to take one of his compulsory stop.
A great little battle here of this group. So probably looking at about lap 14 for your first stop if you're doing a split strategy. So a little bit early for Borg. But I suppose those tyres, braking heavy, may have been a little hurt.
James Scott is getting closer and closer to Brenton Hobson in front of him. He's about a second a lap quicker at the moment. So again, James has got tremendous pace in that car, which is really what we expect from him. Current series champion and yeah, winning races in every series on the iRacing platform in the V8's at the moment, so no surprise he's going quick, but he's still a long way back from the lead of the race.
Yeah, long way to go too still. Interesting to see where he shakes out when a few of these guys make their first stops. Bearing in mind, James would be trying to get a good 20 to 30 laps, or 20 to 25 laps out of those tyres.
And just looking at lap times, Jordan Ross out front is pretty much on pace with James Scott at the moment, so they're doing pretty similar lap times, like only a tenth or two between them. A big lock up from Jordan Ross that time back.
Definitely looking comfortable. Is Ross the boss? He's starting to show pace over the last couple of weeks, so not surprised to see him out in front. Rattray White is a further 2.7 seconds behind, and then the battling Anthony Visma in third. He's 4.6 further back. He's got Damien Johnstone right on his heels. Jeff Thomas has dropped off a bit. Tom Freeman, is starting to track him down in sixth. So Freeman is up 6 spots already, our hard charger. And Steve Tonkin in seventh, Marnie in eighth, Coleman in ninth, Horton in 10th. He's caught that battle and he's bringing Reg James with him. So might have a bit of a look back in there. How Mr. Coleman's going. About to get under some pressure. Now here comes Horton. It's the draft, sweeps to the outside. Too wide over the start-finish line. Coleman on the inside. They all managed to hang on. He's managed to catch back up to Marnie in front of him. A little bit deep coming out. That's opened the door up. Great move from Horton here. Gets himself in front of Coleman before the International Horseshoe. What can Coleman do? Can he come back at him? That is the question at the moment.
Horton's done a great job to get back on terms with these guys after facing the wrong way on lap 1. So, great little comeback in the last 12 laps or 11 laps from Josh Horton.
Yeah, definitely driving well. Let's going to check on Visma again.
Coleman with a big tank slapper. He's facing the wrong way. He's going backwards into the wall.
Oh, that's plenty of smoke there. Right when I turned off him too. I was just going to get a replay of that. Just clipped the grass. And yeah, big tank slapper. Tried to get it. Oi. Bounces off the cushion there. Gets himself back around. Those tyres will be pretty second hand.
Yeah, the back of the car is got a few dents in it as well, so don't know if that's going to affect his aero and straight line speed. He hasn't got a meatball, but yeah, a little bit of damage on the rear of that car, and if it's going to hurt your straight line speed, then he probably needs to pit and get a fast repair and get that done. So he's just going to lose time hand over fist.
Oh, and saw Tonkin very loose coming out of the bus stop there. So they'll open the door up now for Horton. They'll get onto the back of him.
Coleman's speed didn't look too bad there, John, coming down the straight. Got up to around 300 kilometres an hour without a draft, so hopefully it's not affecting him at all.
This car looking a little bit dented in the rear end. Tyres looking a bit second hand as he comes out of the International Horseshoe. And Joe Marnie has 3 cars locked up behind him. Tonkin and Horton. And he's going to go back up as well. Visma still has Damien Johnstone tucked up behind. Coming down the lane. No. I thought we had someone coming in, but they're not. It is looking fairly under control here. Steve Tonkin is in. And Josh Horton tries the over-under on Marnie and gets the job done. That frees him now.
James Scott, very close to ranging up onto the back of Hobson here. He was 9/10 of a second quicker again on that lap. So I would say by the end of this lap, he's going to be pretty close to being right there.
Yeah, you can see Hobson in front of him. And of course, Hobson now is only 1.5 seconds behind Coleman, so and of course Hobson, Scott have pitted, and Tonkin and Borg behind these guys have pitted as well. Something's happened to Borgie. He's got the car going again. I'm not sure what's happened to him there. Car looking very loose. And very, very tight racing between Thomas Freeman and Jeff Thomas. Freeman moving forward. Visma, the next man up the road. Let's see what Thomas can do. Can he latch on here? Make a challenge using the draft. See Johnstone and Visma just in front. Nicely tucks up behind.
Yeah, Thomas Freeman's doing an excellent job out there, up to P6. Like what you said, John, he's the hard charger at the moment.
Yeah, up 7 spots. Great drive. And Josh Horton still on the back of Marnie. And Brian Borg in the wall. So might just try and have a look what happened to Brian there. He's just locked the brakes up altogether and couldn't bounce it off. And looks like it might be a bit of a magnet situation.
The car's not running, he's got a meatball, and it looks like it's one of them ones where the wall has just clamped it and it's not letting go.
Yeah.
So we may see a safety car, I'm not sure, and this could be a saviour for James Scott and Brenton Hobson.
Safety car boards and flags, safety car boards and flags.
There we go, safety car called.
Yep. Race controller, Richard Barella, calling the safety car. So that'll change.
Jordan Ross going no, and I could hear James Scott going yes then.
Well, it depends on where it lays out here. Just try and see where Ross is. He's coming around the back of the circuit. So he'll be in. Rattray White should be following. Next man will be Johnstone. Everyone should be in here, all the way down to James Scott. I notice Hobson's gone in for a second stop.
Yeah, you'd be mad not to take tyres and fuel here again, just to
Safety car is on track.
you get back on terms with everyone. It's going to make that final stop
All other cars
nice and short, and you're going to have fresh tyres the same as everyone. So definitely, certainly worth taking that stop again now.
You can see, what does Mr. Scott do? Probably do the same thing, I think. Yep, straight in. And Coleman, not going to do anything fancy. Tonkin be the next one. So, safety car is out. Now, complete scaffolding. Sales, hire and labour. So if you're in the need of any scaffolding services on the south coast of New South Wales, give Pete and the team a call.
Did Brenton Hobson do an extra lap there?
You thought he was pitted. So he's pitted back in again. So, yeah, I think
He's coming the lane again now. So he must have kept going, and it might have been Damien Johnson that pitted.
Safety car is entering the oval.
Not saying this is his third stop.
Yeah, well, make the most of the fuel and the tyres, or he may not have put fuel in, or may not have taken tyres properly. And might be about to get a special guest commentator to come and join us. As we say a big hello to Tom Freer. How are you, Tom?
G'day, man. Just sitting here enjoying the race. It's good.
A very, very hectic lap one.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't intend to pass James at turn 1. I just forgot what a brake pedal was. Luckily, he saw that and he left it open. But then I was like, well, I'm leading, so I might as well try the fuel save tactic. And yeah, I wasn't really fast enough for that. So, yeah, it didn't end up very well anyway. I was facing the wrong way in the fence and had James blowing up over comms, which I've never had at me personally before. But that was fun. And yeah, now I get to watch him put on a clinic and come back through and win another race.
We'll see. He's still got a bit of work to do. Safety car's probably helped him a fair bit here, though.
Yeah, he's a pretty strong competitor. Like, he doesn't really put a foot wrong, so I won't be surprised if he gets back to the front pretty quick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
It looked like Jordan, pace-wise, is pretty even with James tonight. Their lap time pretty similar. James maybe a little bit quicker, but Jordan's certainly looking like he's got plenty of speed in the car.
He is quick, old Jordan, when he wants to be. It's always at the tracks that don't really matter for any of the series going forward. I don't understand it, but no, he's had a good meal and a couple of drinks, and he's ready to go. So yeah, hopefully he can hold off James, but I think that's a tough ask.
It's still a lot of cars between him and James. Zach would be his first thing he's got to get past. As you know, around this place, it's hard work when you lose the toe, so it's going to be interesting still.
Yeah, I think you'll find James's pace in that infield was pretty wild. Like, I was watching him in practice, and he's pretty good through like the hairpin and the international horseshoe and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if he closes that gap. But on the straight, so if he's got a bit of toe, he's definitely going to be dangerous. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he can do out of the toe.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. Safety car coming in this lap is the word from race control. Pretty much everybody pitted in on that pit stop there. Coleman, Borg in the lane again. Sorry, Borg still in the lane, but Coleman ducking in for another top up.
Yeah, so Brenton Hobson, Dave Coleman, both, and Reg James, both all done 3 stops by the look of it. So, no, Coleman's only done 2, but Reg James has done 3, and Brenton Hobson has ducked in twice under this safety car, so he's done 3.
So we're taking viewer questions, Tom. Seems we've got a special guest in comms with us. Little Dave from South Australia wants to know about your PRA days.
PRA, yes, that's like my first team pretty much ever. I did a little bit of dev series and stuff on my own, and a guy by the name of Chris Kessie pulled me out of nowhere and yeah, sort of put me in a team, and I did a season of dev with PRA. I think it was only a couple of months after Brady Myers actually left that team. But yeah, I was pretty fond of that. That was a lot of fun back in those days. I remember constantly qualifying in like the top 5 and then finishing 30th. So it was definitely a learning curve, but I do owe them a bit because no one really would have taken me on at that time, but they did, and they sort of showed me the ropes, and yeah, went from there.
Don't worry, Dave Baldock reminds us every single day.
It sounds like plenty of names have come through that PRA team. Brady Myers, Tom Free, I think James Scott was
James Scott, yep.
He was Borg as well at one point.
Yep.
Wow, so it was an all-star team.
Yeah, they were a cool little team. I think technically they're still around. I just think they've had a name change from them. I think they're now joined with BAR, but I could be wrong.
They joined with BAR, but I think the last remaining PRA driver's left is now running around under his own auspices as Dave 37 Racing.
Yeah, I remember Dave. I think Paul Preston was the other one.
Yeah, Paul's still around. I think he's had some back issues and work commitments. It's just kept him out of the sim.
That's unlucky. He was a good guy. Real good guy. Hopefully he finds his way back into a sim.
Yeah, I'm glad you quantified that you're talking about Paul, not Dave.
Yeah, Paul was a long-time racer in the vet series as well, and always good to race with, good clean driver, and had plenty of speed, and yeah, like you said, Tom, he was a really, really good guy.
He was. Gave everyone an opportunity.
Oh, you've got Bulldog smiling anyway.
I do remember it fondly, Dave. Don't worry.
As we're about to get going, this is going to be a tough one. You've literally got to take him to the line. Otherwise, you're going to get jumped with the draft here. So let's see what Zach does. Of course, this will be chaos on Thursday night with vets with 40 cars, and he's away. We are green flag. Might just shuffle backwards a little bit. Looks like Zach's got a good jump. Might just come back, watch Thomas a little bit further back in the pack here. Try and keep an eye on the guys further back. James Scott's just picked up 2 spots already. As they're all still single file. So that sort of takes the pressure out of it a little bit down the back. Hobson looking to make a move. So Hobson and Scott now pretty all much back in the pack on even terms here. You can see the battle in front of them. There's Damien Johnstone sitting in third now. Jeff Thomas behind him. He's been the revelation of the night. Great drive from the Super 2 driver. As we head back up onto the banking. Jump on board with Visma. Nicely through the horseshoe, gets the good exit. Let's see what he can do to Thomas here. Tucked up in the draft. We know Visma can be aggressive. Won't leave us wondering. Goes to the high side. Too wide, 300 kilometres an hour. Down into turn 1 now. We've got to pull this up to 90 Ks. A little bit of a tap, I think. That's seen Thomas off. Thomas comes back through, and that is Visma. That's going to need a tow, maybe. Can he drive that off the wall? Oh, I think he might be able to.
Yeah, he didn't even get a meatball off that, which is surprising. He did say he tends to be a bit aggressive, and yeah, just moved too far over and just clipped Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas certainly didn't do anything wrong there, and I think that was pretty much all on Anthony.
It's a tough feeling when you're doing 300 Ks and you get that little clip, and you know you're not going to stop, and you know you can't avoid everyone else. You're coming through like a bowling ball. Fortunately, it was Visma who received it. To jump back up to the front here, retro wide under pressure from Jordan Ross now. Ross would know that Scott's coming. Scott's moved up to 5th already. He's only about 3 seconds behind this group. So not far away. But has to work to get to Horton. Horton's 1.5 seconds up, so won't have full access to a slipstream there. Thomas, though, he's coming back. Tucked right up behind Thomas Freeman. Tries to work out which way to go. Big tyre smoke in front of these guys.
Josh Horton with a bit of a lock up there, but Josh has done really well. We saw him facing the wrong way on lap 1, and he's got himself all the way up to P4 after that intervention with the safety car, but he's definitely got James Scott hot on his heels now.
Yeah, definitely. And Retro White has Ross right up behind Johnstone in this group here as well. But James Scott's only about 3 seconds behind these guys, so they know they've got to go.
There's probably no real advantage leading the race at all at this stage. We've still got 20 laps to go, so the key will be fuel saving for the boys behind, because that'll help them jump them in the pits. But James Scott ranging right up under the back of Horton now.
Yeah, you're looking to get the job done coming out of the bus stop here. Tucks in behind, get into the slipstream. And Sway Horton protects the inside. Scott, 300 plus Ks now, about 305 Ks on the outside. He's going to hold the nerve. Nice work from Horton. So this group here, though, definitely pushing forward. Here comes Thomas Freeman into the back of this group as well. It's turning into a great little battle.
Yeah, nothing like a safety car to even things up.
Right, jump back up. Of course, last lap for Scott was the fastest lap of the race with a 1:43.37. So it just shows how effective that draft is. And Horton 1.3 seconds back from this leading trio. James Scott looking to go the high line already. Ducks back into the slipstream. Drifts back up again. And Scott is through. Horton needs to latch onto the back. Scott now 1.1 behind Damien Johnstone, but Horton's not done. He's in the slipstream here. What can he do?
I don't think Josh has really quite got the pace of James Scott, and he's probably better off using James to
drag him
stay
along.
in touch. Yeah, stay in touch with this front group.
There's James Scott now about to tuck up behind behind Damien Johnstone.
James had to go a little bit deep there to cover off Josh Horton, who was looking to come up the inside. Lost a little bit of momentum, but got it going again. Yeah, Josh Horton's certainly looking pretty racy.
They're driving very well. And you can see his teammate out in front, Zach Rattray White, Jordan Ross, Damien Johnstone, James Scott. And then Horton Freeman in 6th, Thomas in 7th, Hobson in 8th, Coleman in 9th, and Marnie in 10th. It'll be interesting to see. There we go with James Scott. He's on the back of Johnstone now. All these cars revved out the max speed, doing 305, 306 kilometres. Pull it up now to 90. All in a line.
James Scott up the inside of Damien Johnson there, so James has got 1 foot on the podium at the moment.
Yeah, be eyeing off Ross in front. Don't underestimate the train behind, though. Those boys will be all eager to get a spot here as well. I think we're in for an interesting couple of laps here.
I think the key for all these boys is just to stay in touch at the moment. We've still got 17 and a half laps to go, and you just want to be in touch with this front group no matter what for that, before that last pit stop, because if you can stay in touch with this group, anything's possible with the draft, and we've seen some pretty high speed accidents around this place as well. So if you give yourself a chance, anything can happen.
Anyway, on to turn 12, otherwise known as 3 and 4, on the banking. And straight on the inside. Jordan Ross not going to fight that one. This is going to tuck in behind. Smart move by Jordan. So Freeman sitting at the back of the train here. He's going to have a look on Horton. Horton a little bit loose. Opens the door up. That's going to be Thomas Freeman through. Moves him into 5th. And James Scott now only 3/10 behind Zach Rattray White. He's definitely in striking distance.
Yeah, the only way you want to be leading this race coming into the last few laps is if you've got a 3 or 4 or 5 second lead. If you don't have that, you want to be in P2, I think.
Absolutely. He's going to go back, check on Coleman. He's back in the battle here with Joe Marnie again.
Also, just Brenton Hobson just gets past Jeff Thomas there on that lap. So Hobbo is not too far behind Josh Horton now.
They really can throw a blanket over 1 to 8 at the moment. And then 8 seconds back to the Marnie Coleman battle. Bit of tyre smoke there. Someone locking her up.
Yeah, Josh Horton again, really working that front tyre, turning that into a 50-cent piece.
Jump back to the leaders. And they are definitely nose to tail into the bus stop. Need to get a good exit out of there. But Rattray White's done a superb job. And Ross now tucked up behind Scott. Does he go to the left? Does he go to the right? And the people in the way. That's the worst camera. As they all managed to hang on into turn 1.
Yeah, They're looking like nobody wants to take the lead at the moment. They're happy to let Retro White break the air in front for him and use his fuel, and they're all happy to just sit behind and save whatever fuel they can and look to get to that last pit stop, and then I'm sure James Scott will want to break free once that last stop's done and get out in front.
And Jeff Thomas still all over the back of Hobson, so Hobson hasn't gotten away from him there. And Retro White now, it's only a tenth now back. I'd say Scott's about to make his move. Here comes Ross as well. And into turn one, looks inside. Oh, lock up from Retro White. That's going to open the door for Scott and Ross. Johnstone has a little bit of a look. Now, what can Ross do? Can he hang on? Great battle with this group of 4 cars. Getting any driving tips for this week's vets? That's a good question, Steve. Don't hit the tyre barrier. Probably the only one. Like
Don't get to slow down.
Yeah, don't get to slow down and try and stay in the draft. Being split 3. Look out. Turn 1, lap 1.
I think that'll be across all splits when you got that many cars on track. Yeah, that's going to be a real bottleneck. And also off the start line, just watch the way you accelerate forward.
As Ross stays in behind Scott, Retro White comfortably sitting in 3rd. Johnstone here still happy in 4th. And of course, we got and of course got our German driver back in our Discord racing again. You keep the group calm, cool, and collected. So try not to get frustrated. This is the other tip.
Josh Horton just struggling again on the bumps there, getting the car getting a little bit sideways, allow Hobbo to get through, and but Horton comes straight back under the draft. It doesn't look like Hobbo's got a lot of straight line speed.
Maybe carrying a little bit of damage from earlier on still. Might explain the couple of trips down the lane under the safety car to try and get rid of some optionals. Here comes Ross. Ross having a good hard look here.
Josh Horton in the lane.
Yep.
12 laps to go.
Oh,
So
good.
that'll be his final stop.
Yeah, that'll get that one out of the way.
Sure, J. Ross is back here saving plenty of fuel, or as much as he possibly can. But again, coming out in the lead on that final stint is probably not something you really want unless you've got a big gap.
So interestingly, under that safety car, Scott stopped for 29.5. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's filled the car up to get home, meaning that everybody else all the way back to Hobson have to make one more stop. And then Jeff Thomas needs to do one more. Marnie needs to do one more. So the strategy game could play out very interestingly here as well. After that lap one incident, it's probably played into his hand.
Which is probably why we saw Hobbo coming into the lane several times.
Hmm.
He's trying to get enough fuel in it to get home if possible.
Yeah. Interesting. Get some inside knowledge there, but there's Retro White now having a look. He wants the lead back. Ross thinks about going 3 wide. And it's tight. And a little bit of lock up from Scott. All of a sudden, Ross takes the lead back. And of course, these guys all pitted at the same time.
Laps counting down quite quickly here, only 10 to go now, so yeah, not a lot of laps left.
Ross showing a little bit of pace, bit of light flashing going on, I'm not sure. Retro White under a bit of pressure as well from John Stone behind. Tom Freeman starting to get into the back of this battle. And 2 wide out front. Ross trying to have a look. 3 wide. And a few diving into the lane there. As you said, a few of these boys still have to make another stop. Scott does not, nor does Hobson, nor does Tonkin. So we'll see where he pops out. That puts...
Yeah, definitely interested if they have got enough fuel to get home from there. If they had, they've got a monumental lead on these boys now.
Yeah, they're still rolling out of the lane. Here comes Retro White. He's going to have Ross tucked up behind. Red James is another one who made 3 stops. He pops out just in front of him. Of course, our Super 2 driver playing the long strategy in Reg James. As Retro White comes through. So Retro White, it sees him roughly sitting about, I'll get this right, 6 seconds behind Tonkin. So he's got a bit of work to do to catch up to Tonkin. Tonkin, of course, has made two stops, so he's sitting in 3rd at the moment, up 8 spots. So the battle is definitely on here. We'll see how this strategy plays out.
Scott in the lane, so clearly he doesn't have the fuel to get home.
No. Now it's going to get interesting. What about Hobson with the extra stops?
Jeff Thomas with a black flag. I'm presuming that's a slowdown.
Where's Jeff? He's back in 10th. Let's see, what does Tonkin do? Tonkin keeps going, Hobson keeps going. So Hobson is now our race leader. From Steve Tonkin. James Scott rolls out of the lane. Where is Rattray White? He's still coming off into turn 1. James Scott rolling out of the corner. They're going to have him. So that spices this back up a bit more.
Yeah, Brenton Hobson, the wily old fox. Does he have enough fuel to get home from where he is?
And Scott now will have to put the bit between the teeth and get cracking, putting pressure on Ross. Already got those tyres warmed up. Going to go back for a minute. Jeff Thomas putting some pressure on Horton, getting the job done into the horseshoe.
Almost good on fuel here, guys.
Oh, I think he is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him come in a couple of times under the safety car to just keep topping the car up. So, yeah, well, like I say, he's a wily old fox, Hobbo, and always thinks pretty well on his feet when it comes to strategy. So, yeah, I'll be very interested to see he has got enough to get home.
Yeah, looking forward to this. This is going to be an epic finish. Also, Tonkin is only 3 seconds up the road from these boys, so I expect these boys to catch him. But that's a great roll of the dice from the Super 2 driver. It's James Scott gets himself in front of Zach Rattray White. They'll have the bit between the teeth now moving forward. Thomas Freeman still hanging onto the back of these guys as well.
Yeah, Freo's done a great job to climb all them positions and be in touch with these boys with only 7.5 laps to go.
Rattray White now under pressure from Jordan Ross.
Yeah, I'm sure James Scott would really love these two behind him to battle pretty hard for a couple of laps.
Yeah, you're not going to say no as we come back out onto the oval. But, of course, there's only a handful of laps left. Hobbo's got plenty of time, though, to manage that fuel. Might just jump on board for a second and just have a bit of a listen just to see if he is fuel saving. No one to draft out here when you're this far in front by yourself.
I just wonder if that's why he was just allowing Josh Horton back past so easily, just to try and get back in Horton's draft for a few laps and save as much fuel as he can. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very tight, I'm sure, but if anybody can do it, I'm sure it'll be Brenton Hobson.
Oh, a bit of opposite lock there. I think he is.
So last lap out, James Scott a 42.636 and Brenton Hobson was a 44.
44.56. Hobbo definitely got a big enough gap based on that time frame. Only just though. A long way to go. Might just jump back. Zach Rattray White's been passed by James Scott. Sorry, by Jordan Ross. Thomas Freeman in the battle here still. And Steve Tonkin hanging on. Hasn't dropped back too much more after getting into the toe of these lads. Of course, Steve, another one who pitted all the way back on lap 16. I just bring up the pit strategy window so everyone can see. You can see Hobson pitted on lap 1 from that incident. Went 14. He's done 19 laps in this stint. And we can see Tonkin, another one on that lap 16 on the safety car. So a few boys rolling out a few strategies, which is making this rather interesting, I think, for what's going to happen as we come into the finish. Scott's taken about a second out of Hobson in the last lap.
He's still got close to an 18-second lead, John, so certainly got plenty of time in hand with only 5 laps to go. As long as he can save enough fuel to get to that finish line, I think he's certainly going to be safe time-wise. The question is, does he have enough fuel to get there?
Yeah, that'll be the question. Let's see how rough it is coming out of the bus stop if you take it a little bit wider. Freeman's here trying to hang on to Rattray White in front of him. Yes, Steve Murray, 2 compulsory pit stops. So everyone has had 2 stops. Freeman coming the wider line. And just jumping down, James Scott still has Jordan Ross tucked up behind him. He hasn't managed to pull that gap too much bigger. So Ross going with him. And Hobson now has a 17-second lead. So 5 laps to go. Into the bus stop. And interesting one, Mark, for the Split 2 Championship. Dave Coleman has not returned back, running 5 laps down. Only done 31 laps. Which is enough to classify him as a finisher, so... So the gap now down to 15 seconds. Hobson definitely trying to hang on here.
only 3.5 laps to go. The battle, by the look of it, is going to be who finishes second.
Yeah, and Jordan Ross hanging on to James Scott. As they run through far side of the circuit. Jordan Ross here, still only 0.6 of a second behind James Scott. Hobo definitely hanging on here. James Scott, I think, has to keep his eyes on the prize behind. Still plenty of points, finishing second. Let's go check on Steve Tonkin. JWM. Might just jump back on with Hollow. Crowd's been asking. You've done a fair bit of work with Hobbo, Tom, so he's not one of the big hard clutches, is he? He's more of a just smooth and early gear changes and everything else. The old lift and coast.
He's a very clean driver. Like, you watch everyone else and they're ragging the thing and they're like nearly having accidents every corner. Hobbo just Sunday drives and finds pace out of that thing. So I think it's pretty cool. Like, I think this demonstrates exactly what Hobbo's strengths are. I think that's been his strength for a long time, is these long grind fuel save style races. So I hate to say it, but him getting wrecked on lap 1 is probably the best thing that happened to him. So it's worked out in his favour. But yeah, technically he's a brilliant driver, and yeah, he just puts on clinics when he gets out front like this. So hopefully he can bring it home. It'd be nice after the last few weeks he's had.
Yeah, it'd be very good.
Yeah, he's always a great thinker in the car, isn't he? He just really pulls out strategies, you know, when he needs to think about how he gets to the front of the race, and he always seems to pull a rabbit out of the hat, so to speak, and puts himself in positions when opportunities arise. So great thinking under the safety car there to just keep pitting and topping the fuel up.
Of course, Hobbo's not one of these guys that does lap after lap after lap either. You know, he gets in the sim when he can. Sorry, Tom.
No, you're right. Yeah, he's a very clear thinker when it comes to this stuff. Like, a lot of people panic and make like decisions they probably shouldn't, whereas he's very calm and he thinks about it, and I don't know, he just seems to get the right end of the stick when it comes to this stuff. Like, he understands it. You got to remember he's been doing it for 10 years. So all that experience helps him. So to see him get a win, that'll be pretty cool. So I'm not gonna say anything else about him winning, because there's not many to go. So
We might jump back, give him a look, see what he's doing. We might
Coming up to the last lap now, so I'd say if he's going as hard as he is now, he's got enough fuel to get there.
Yeah. He's got plenty of time up his sleeves. He starts the last lap. We'll keep an eye here on this battle. Oh, a little bit twitch there. A little bit of bump drafting maybe. What does Jordan Ross do here? I think James Scott's got everything covered.
Yeah, but has he got it covered for this last lap? He really needs a really strong infield here to try and put a couple of car lengths if he can between him and Jordan. Retro White, for the moment, looks like he's out of the podium positions.
He's dropped back a second, 1.3 behind these guys. here comes the last part. It's going to be very close. Going to be looking for a good exit out of the bus stop if he's going to make an attempt at it. He might be close enough here. But it's been all about this fella. He has put on an absolute statistician's masterclass. And that is a great win to Brenton Hobson. And here comes Jordan Ross. Tucked up behind. He's not going to get the job done over the line, but that is going to come down to 0.06 of a second between second and third. He's not going to get any closer than that. And Rattray White in fourth. Thomas Freeman in fifth. Sixth will be Damien Johnstone. Seventh will be Steve Tonkin. Great drive from the Super 2 driver. Reg James will come home in eighth. Another one who went the lap 16 strategy.
Very good racing there in part in the podium.
So that is a great effort there from Reg. Josh Horton was involved in something. We'll have a bit of a look at that. He's going to come home in ninth. Joe Marnie in 10th. The Viz, he will bring it home in 11th. And Jeff Thomas will be our 12th place car. So let's have a look at what happened to Horton on the last lap. Supercheap Auto replay. It looks like he's gone in a little deep. Loses the back of it. And nicely gets control. Fair effort there. And we might just pick somewhere. We'll use that one. And get myself set up. So Mr. Hobson will be very happy with that. I think he's a crowd favourite, looking at a few of the comments in the chat there as well. And we might just drag some boys in. We've got Jordan. Mr. Ross, how are you, mate? Congratulations on P3. How'd you find that?
That was fun, mate. That was good fun. Good night. Fun racing with Zach and James. It was good.
Good?
Yeah, good fun. I like this track.
Yeah, that's what Tom was saying. The tracks that don't matter, you seem to be good at.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, Thomas, is it? Thomas, our special comments guest tonight, mate. Here's your chance to grill the boss.
How the tables have turned. So, welcome to
Jeez, this telecast has gone downhill, hasn't it? If Tom is commentating, Jesus, it's time to pull the plug, John. So, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
How good. Yeah, they've really had to dive deep into the bin for this one. But, so, yeah,
got
tell us about your race, Ross.
What's that, mate?
Tell us about your race, mate. You finally seem to get a result without doing something silly. So, yeah, yeah, I was out on lap 1, so I can't really comment. But yeah, what happened, mate? You P3.
Yeah, I drove around
The
and
win.
James a bit faster, and me and Zach had a mad race, and Borgie is not on my Christmas card list because of that safety car. So
I'm sure he's
he's
not.
in the bin.
He's on.
Borgie's got a 25-year ban from East Coast. He's done. They're few and far between these wins for me. So, you know. Anyway, well done, Tom, on your first interview, mate. That was good, mate. That was good.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you here with us, Tom. And the next man to talk to, of course, we'll have a quick chat to the guy that finished fourth, Zach Rattray White. How'd you find it, Zach?
It was pretty fun. I didn't mind it. Interesting with a fuel save. That's, yeah, very interesting. certainly shapes the race.
Yeah, we had the same scenario last Thursday night. It's amazing how if someone does get game and does something like that, it can work. So Hobbo, that's the reason why you're ducking in 3 times under the safety car.
I heard Borgie call for race control. I didn't know what it was for, but I dove straight on the lane before the safety car came out to clear a CPS because I was down the lane on the first lap, and I don't think that counts to a CPS. So I dived back down before that safety car came out, and then came back down again under safety car to clear the second CPS so I could get home to the finish. Was the theory. We'll find out whether or not.
Tongue twister.
We'll see whether or not the race stewards decide that's okay or not, but I'll take it regardless, and I won't pay attention to what they say.
Give him the trophy. He's out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here right now.
Big crowd favourite tonight too, by the way, in the chat. Everyone's pretty happy that you've got the chocolates.
Yep, that's good.
That's real good.
I don't know why. He's not a very good bloke.
Shout out to all the Hobbo 88 super fans.
He's not a good bloke. have you seen the
Jordan's not one of them.
Have you seen the graphics he does for the Pro Series?
Hobbo? No, that's me. That's me, mate. That's me.
Mate, you can't even turn on your computer. Don't go saying that.
Yeah, I guess anyone you boys want to give a shout out to for SSR?
Jordan could do the shout out.
Shout out to Tom because he's not. Not Tom. What's his name? James. What?
Yes,
Like,
mate.
where is he?
Don't
Where's
know.
James gone?
Don't
Putting
know.
salt on his chips.
Yeah, just shout out to James for a bad race and Zach for a good race and Hobbo for I don't know, cheating or whatever he did to get the win. Well done.
Yeah, good. Was a great drive. Next week, guys, we are at Monza, and it is the night before the Pro Series. So, any thoughts about that one?
No. That's a whole week away, John. I've got so much time between now and then to worry about other things.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough too. Well, on that note, I just want to say a huge thank you to Mark, of course. A huge thanks to our special commentator this evening, Tom Freer, for jumping in, making the most of his evening after that lap one. Lost Jordan's back in the green room. And, of course, a huge thank you to everybody in the chat for watching. Huge thank you to Race Control. I think they've had a little bit of a busier night than last week. And also a huge thank you to the series admins. And on that note, we'll say good night all. And hopefully, depending on my work commitments, we will have a broadcast next week. But I'll definitely let people know if it's not happening. On that note, night all. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Catch you on the flip side.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well,